and welcome back to the live lounge here at Open Banking Expo UK and Europe 2025. I'm joined now by Mark Wilcocks, who's the Head of Product and Solutions UK and Ireland at Visa. Welcome to the live lounge.
Thanks, Ellie. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here, Mark. I know that Visa announced in sort of June this year that Visa A2A is ready for market. So what are the key features of your recurring account-to-account payment offering?
So Visa A2A is built firmly on the principles of commercial VRP. For us specifically, the Visa A2A solution is built on three key things. It's built on it being an open network. What I mean by an open network is that all open banking providers, all TPPs are eligible to participate. As well as that, it has protections built in. So protections not only for the ecosystem and for our participants, but also for consumers. And then finally, it's designed to have a sustainable commercial model. A commercial model that's there to incentivize participation, but also enable us to incentivize continued investment and innovation.
Some really interesting features there to pick up on. I mean, you mentioned that consumer protection feature. So what level of protection does your offering provide for sort of bank transfer transactions, and how does it compare to the other sort of consumer protections that consumers might receive on other payment methods?
Sure. So there's different layers to the way we think about these protections. So there's protections for the ecosystem, protections for participants. So there we have a rigorous process of assessing and onboarding both banks and open banking platforms, really to create that first line of defense within Visa A2A that we only onboard good participants. We then have the second layer then of protection, which is about transaction monitoring, which is about fraud prevention. So ensuring that before things go wrong, we can start to proactively identify some of those bad transactions, some of those bad actors, and take actions within the Visa A2A scheme. And then finally, we have that layer of consumer protection. So to make sure that when things do go wrong, that there's a level of comfort, a level of protection for those consumers using Visa A2A. What does that really mean? How do we unpack that? How do we think about that? Well, within those consumer protections, there's a clear set of rules around things like consumer disputes. Consumer disputes that cover issues when things go technically wrong, but also when they have issues with goods and services. So you can probably see there are parallels potentially with some other payment mechanisms. But for us, it's really important if we're going to build trust, if we're going to drive consumer trust, we have to have these protections from when things go wrong.
Yeah, we know, I guess, that the most sort of popular or ubiquitous payment methods are sort of the most trusted. So, yeah, tell me a bit more about how those protections that you've built into Visa A2A, how important they are at establishing it as a really trusted payment method that is used.
Coming from Visa, the value of our brand and the value of trust is really, really key. So for us, trust is one of those things that takes years to earn, but it only takes one bad experience. It's one bad experience with a payment, and that trust is broken. So for us, it was really important to enable consumers to know that should things go wrong, they do have that level of protection.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about some research that I know Visa carried out earlier this year. It's always fascinating hearing about sort of different demographics and what they want from payments and how they use payments. And I think it identified that the younger generation, so Gen Z, are kind of driving the subscription economy. Yeah. Now, what did the research uncover about their expectations of the payment journeys?
Yeah, I mean, there were some really notable statistics. I think coming out of that study, It was Gen Z are something like 3 times more likely to be spending on subscriptions.
Wow. Yeah.
Relative to like other generations, be that Gen X or boomers.
Yeah.
And I think overlaying on there is somewhere in the region of 75% had said that they had problems when they paid with like direct debit.
Right.
And when you start to dig behind that stat of 75%, it was problems with things like transparency, problems with things like visibility of the payment or visibility of their mandate.
Yeah.
And I think those for us demonstrate that, I'm like direct debit, it's a great scaled solution, but it's not built for the new unlike digital journeys that Gen Z live with in every other walk of their lives today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, really interesting to hear about those findings. Look, I know that when you were talking about, some of the key features of Visa A2A, you mentioned something that I want to pick up on now, which is the fact that it's the result of this industry collaboration, something that you call an open industry model. So tell me, Mark, what exactly do you mean by that, and how are you collaborating with other institutions and fintechs?
So for us, when we talk about an open industry model, one where we believe that the path to scale and the path to innovation is one which leverages the great ecosystem that we have here in the UK today.
Yeah. I mean, kind of leads on to my next question. Why have you taken that approach of collaborating rather than competing, say?
Frankly, I think it is something we see across many different facets of our business. And one where I'd say when we think about UX, we think about the future of those customer journeys.
Yeah.
The ability to leverage a breadth of talent as we experiment, as we trial, as we build those winning journeys. It works better when we can leverage that broad range of talent. When we can start to use, some of the great expertise that we have to tailor those journeys to those specific needs. So really for us, it's about scale. And it's about driving the best use cases and the best experiences.
Well, Mark, it's been great to hear more about Visa A2A. Thank you for joining me in the Live Lounge.
Thank you, Ali. It was a pleasure.